Welcome again to another session with me, Aziz Gool, in our Accelerate with Aziz community, which is our platform to help support the growth of entrepreneurs and business owners on their path towards financial freedom, helping them transform from entrepreneurs, or rather from highly skilled individuals, into entrepreneurs with scalable businesses, and ultimately from entrepreneurs into investors. Like we mentioned last week, the journey here is from really starting off by finding out what you need to be doing in your business to start working on your business. And then once you're working on your business, to be able to essentially exit your business, let your business run without you, make yourself obsolete or redundant essentially in your business, and then working above your business. And I know this can be sometimes difficult. Most of us as business owners and entrepreneurs, we are control freaks. We feel like the business doesn't run if we're not there. We feel like, the fire won't be put out if we're not the one that's reacting. And we really do believe that there's no one in the business that can solve the problems in the business better than us. And that kind of lone wolf syndrome is pretty much the biggest bottleneck standing between you and everything you want, right? Because if you cannot attract people to your business that are smarter than you, if you cannot replace yourself with people that can do the job without your intervention, then you are never going to be able to exit your business and achieve not only the financial freedom, but the time freedom that you're looking for in your life. And I think that's really the biggest challenge, right? Because in the beginning, we hire whoever wants to be there, right? Whoever wants to collect a paycheck. And we do that sort of all the way up to $1 million. And then once we've reached $1 million, we hire who we can afford. And it's only really after we kind of move through the threshold that is, the hell of 10 million, that we can essentially hire the people that we want, right? So we start off hiring who we can, then we hire who we can afford, and finally we hire who we want, who can actually add value to the business. I was actually having a conversation. Welcome, Siraj. Thanks for joining us. Sending you a little wave. So I was actually having a conversation with the founder today, and it's a Google Launchpad backed company. They've done some amazing stuff in the agri-tech space. And, you were saying to me that often Elon Musk, and I think it was Warren Buffett, said that their business or their business model is an exemplary form of commerce right now, and I congratulated him on that. And I kind of pushed back with a question, and I said, that's great today, but what are you doing to ensure that that is great every day into the future, right? How do you maintain that exemplary status? Because as we all know, in business, there's no such thing as being static, right? We're either growing or we're dying. And so what is exemplary today could literally break our business tomorrow. And, having had the privilege to work with investors, founders, and business owners all across the world, particularly in the US, that have built, 100 million businesses in the virtual space, in the digital space, they always talk about the next hockey stick, because they understand that every hockey stick is not infinite, right? Every business matures and plateaus. And so if we are not actively trying to break our business ourselves, break our business models ourselves, someone else, some new competitor, some disruptor will come in and do it for us. And so the only way we can innovate and iterate is if we are constantly seeking to break what we have and find a better way, because there is always a better way. Yes, we live in a world where there's nothing new, but there is always evolution. There's always refinement. There's always scale that needs to happen. Great example of this is Jeff Bezos, right? Starts off selling books, Amazon, right? Out of his garage. That's great. That's amazing. Gives him his first hockey stick. Does Amazon just sell books today? No. They are the supermarket place of the world, right? Because they diversified, because they sought to break their own business model and understand what was the next iteration of what they needed to do, what was the next lever of growth. And you know, once they started diversifying and building out that supermarket of everything anyone needs anywhere in the world, you know, did they just stay in that business? Did they just continue to play in the B2C space? No, they created AWS, right? And they got into the server business, right? They got into the B2B space. They got into the enterprise space. Again, looking, what are the future trends? What are the things that are going to break my business? Never being overconfident about your current market position, no matter how praised you are for it. Because it just takes one founder. It just takes one starter. It just takes one line of code to disrupt your entire business. Right? Another great example is Netflix and Blockbuster. Right? When Netflix came onto the scene, Blockbuster wasn't worried. They thought their business model was the exemplary, I'm struggling with this word, a model for, you know, home media entertainment in the world. They were the gold standard. They were the biggest. They had the prime position in the marketplace. And they weren't worried about Netflix. They weren't worried about this, you know, on-demand streaming service. Fast forward, what happened? Blockbuster doesn't exist anymore. Netflix does. Netflix is a unicorn. Netflix doing $1 billion, right? So we really need to be mindful and cognizant, not only of what our competition is doing, but what are we doing to be our own competition, to make sure we are always the one finding the better way. You know, I always say every solution in our business creates a new problem, right? If you have a bottleneck in your business, for instance, if your bottleneck is initially lead generation, if you solve that lead generation problem and you start getting leads into your business, the problem that now creates is a sales problem. It's a conversion problem. That's the new problem that you will then need to solve, right? And so we all want to be the service provider, the entrepreneur, the business that is not only solving the problem, but solving the next problem, right? And if we are not solving the next problem for our clients, someone else will do it. We will lose that share of wallet. And so this really brings me back to our theme for this week, a very long-winded way, which is be, do, have, right? And here in the Accelerate with Aziz community, I'm looking to help and support you guys on your growth path, on your shift from growth to scale, and then finally from entrepreneur to investor. And the way that you do that is through be, do, have. Before you can have the things that you want, before you can have the financial freedom, the time freedom, the abundance and the independence, you first need to be able to do the things that create that lifestyle, right? You need to acquire the skills that deliver the results, right? So the have is the how, right? How do I get that thing? How do I get that asset? How do I get that lifestyle? How do I get that house? How do I get that car? But how is not the question, right? Maybe what's the question? But what is the do question, right? What do I need to do? What do I need to learn? What is the next step in the journey for me to get me where I want to go? That's not the most important question either. The most important question is be. Who do I need to become in order to do the things that I need to do so that I can have the things that I want to have? And I was on a discovery call again also today, and I was telling this entrepreneur that 99% of the time, the biggest bottleneck, the biggest choke point in the business is us, right? It's you and me. It's our limiting beliefs. It's our imposter syndrome. It's our perfectionism, right? It's the limitations of our skill sets. And to a big extent, our ego in believing that we have everything we need in order to get the results that we are looking for. And until we can empty that cup and accept that we don't know what we don't know, we cannot grow. Right? As long as we remain in that comfort zone, we are not growing. And everything we want is on the other side of uncomfortable, because growth is uncomfortable. And so we should be happy. We should be embracing the uncomfort and the uncertainty, because that's where growth takes place, not within our comfort zone. All right? And this is really what the Accelerate with Aziz community is about. It's about bringing together like-minded individuals across commerce and capital, and providing a platform and a plethora of resources to be able to give you the tools that you need to become who you need to be, to do what you need to do, so that you can have the things that you want in life and have the life that you want to live the way that you want to live. Okay. And this is why I also took great pride in creating the premium version of Accelerate with Aziz, which is Achieve with Aziz, which is a one-to-few opportunity where you can work more closely with me, more directly with me, get access to me and my, more than a decade of experience in capital and commerce, and leverage that, right, to hack the 100,000 hours I've spent learning all of this. I've spent investing in all of this, right? You don't need to figure it out alone. You just need the right guy. And that's what I'm here for, right? The professional problem solver, as they like to say, the fixer, right? And so, yes, you can struggle and burn time and burn cash and try and figure it all out on your own. But the cost of that in speed, in money, in success, in opportunity, walk into that with open eyes, right? Be very mindful about how much time, because remember that poor people trade time for money. Rich people or wealthy people trade money for time, because they understand that you can always make more money, but we all only have a finite amount of time. So, as I said in last week's session, these Accelerate with Aziz sessions, we are changing it up. As of last week, sessions are getting much shorter. We're going to keep it to 30 minutes. This week, our theme is Be, Do, Have, and talking about who you need to become, the skills that you need to have in order to have the financial freedom and the time freedom that you want, and to live life on your own terms. Right? And it will be great if we can get in some questions. If not, I do have some questions that have come through to us this week that different people have submitted. And so we'll go through those. But first, we just want to wrap up a little bit more with this theme for this week, because I think it's super important, right? There's a term called virtuoso, right? And a virtuoso is effectively a generalist. And as you know, we live in a society of specialists, right? And we don't really think about the generalist as valuable as the specialist. A great example is like in the medical field, right? You get a GP, which is general practitioner, and then you get a specialist, and you get a super specialist, right? But if you think about it, if like the term generalist is actually rooted in the term virtuoso. And this was a term that was coined by Shakespeare, actually. And Shakespeare used the word virtuoso as a type of tribute or homage to himself, who lived in a society which favored specialists. However, he was a generalist. And he did this because he could write the play, he could direct it, he could design the costumes, he could design the sets. He was a jack of all trades, right? And lots of people use this word jack of all trades as a negative philosophy, right? Jack of all trades, master of none. But Shakespeare actually meant it as a compliment to himself. And the entire saying is, you know, jack of all trades, master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of one. And what he meant by that was, depending on where you are in your journey and depending the amount of value you want to get out of an individual, having a jack of all trades, a master of many, is oftentimes better than having a master of one, right? Because there are more problems that mastery can solve. And if you are in the early years of your business, you should be focusing on being a master of many, right? And, you know, as the business grows, you can then, you know, niche down and specialize down in your roles. But in the beginning, it's very important to remind yourself of this virtuoso philosophy. And in actual fact, the synonym for virtuoso is a genius, right? It's someone who has created mastery in multiple disciplines, right? Johann Guth was a virtuoso. Leonardo da Vinci was a virtuoso. Benjamin Franklin was a virtuoso. So the next time you think about where do I need to specialize, it's not about honing in on one thing. It's about finding the right skill stack, not the right skill. The right skill stack, the right combination of skills that will enable you to do the things you need to do and have the life that you want to have. Right? And for instance, in the digital space, you know, things like copywriting, things like digital marketing, things like closing, you know, those are the high income skills that will enable you to build a multi-6, multi-7, 8-figure digital business, you know, and this is a great space to play in. It's a big blue ocean, especially in the local market, because people haven't figured it out yet, right? There is so much opportunity, so much market share to grab, because the big corporates, they're uncertain, they're nervous, you know. Everyone is tentative when they're dealing with the new, with the unfamiliar. And so they're not really sure how to invest. They're not really sure, you know, what the value is going to be. They're not really sure what the metrics are going to be. They're not sure how to evolve into the space. You know, during COVID, we were kind of forced, you know, to figure out how we run a digital workforce, a diaspora workforce that was 100% remote. And, you know, we felt scared because we were like, are people really working? You know, are they wasting our time and our money? You know, it's like we have this innate belief that if we can't see you physically sitting in your seat behind your computer, no matter what you're doing, you could be doing nothing there. We just feel better paying that salary if that person is in that seat, right? And it's not a results-driven culture, right? It's not a meritocracy in what it should be, right? And, you know, one of the biggest challenges in the space is, you know, but how do we manage culture? You know, when we have this disparate virtual workforce where people are in isolation, you know, they are semi-independent. You know, how do we manage the culture? How do we manage the core values of this network of people? But if you lead by example, if you become the leader that you need to be and acquire the skills to excel in this digital blue ocean, then you can have those results. Then you can have that strong culture culture that is immersive, even though people are in different places and different time zones all over the world. But if you're just implementing a strategy, if you're just barking orders, if you're not magnetic and persuasive and immersive in terms of your vision and your mission and your leadership, then you will struggle to do this. You will struggle to achieve the results that you're looking for. Because in the same way that, well, certainly me, I have billionaire aspirations. So for me, you need to become a billionaire before you can have a billion, right? It's like it's the story I always tell. I told it a couple of sessions ago. If you gave an entrepreneur running, $100,000 business, if you gave him $1 billion business, very soon that business would shrink into the comfort zone of that 100,000 entrepreneur. But if you gave Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk or Warren Buffett $1 billion entrepreneur a $100,000 business, that business would quickly become $1 billion business. I read a quote yesterday from Mr. Beast, who's currently, I stand to correction, 350 million followers on YouTube, subscribers on YouTube, a net worth, of somewhere around $500 million. And he contests that if tomorrow he shut down his channel and started again at zero, that within 6 months, he would have 1 million subscribers, or rather millions of subscribers, and a multi-million-dollar net worth. Not because he has what he has, not because he does what he does, but because he's already become who he needs to be in order to do what he needs to do and have the things that he wants. So if you're sitting there right now and you have some kind of bottleneck in your business, you have some kind of challenge in your business that you cannot solve, if you are not experiencing the growth that you would like in your business, then I would consider that I would recommend that you consider going and taking a hard look in the mirror and first trying to figure out, who do you need to become? And if you can't come to that clarity on your own, if you are big enough to empty your cup, raise your hand and ask for help, and you're not yet part of the Accelerate with Aziz community, I recommend that you join. The link is in bio. And if you are in the community and you're still trying to, leverage all the free resources that you can, that's great. But if you want to move faster, because money loves speed, if you want to move faster, and as we know, money can always be made. Money is infinite to a certain extent. You can always print more, right? Time you can't print more. All have a limited amount of time, right? Time is here, it's limited, set out for us all. So if you want to move faster and get more results more quickly, then consider, taking the next step and joining the Achieve with Aziz limited numbers in a circle, where you can get the help from me to create the action plan you need to create the results that you're looking for. And I'm going to leave it there today, because my intent was to keep it short, keep it punchy, keep it to the point. The theme for this week, be, do, have. And I'll see you guys live again next week, right here on our live Q&A sessions with me, Aziz Gool, and you Accelerate with Aziz community. because we've run out of time, I don't think there's much time for many more questions. I hope you guys got a lot of value and insight from that. If you do have questions, please DM them to me. The team will make a note of it and we'll circle back to it next week. If you have any great takeaways, money's worth moments, drop them in the chat, in the community. I really look forward to reading all the value that people are getting from this every week. And, we continue to come here week after week and serve powerfully our community in order to make this impact and elevate wealth creation globally and support you on your journey from solopreneur to entrepreneur to investor. Ciao for now. I'm Aziz Gool. Bye-bye.